Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to come here and share some of the exciting things that we are doing here there in Kenya. And before I talk more, I'd also like to acknowledge Statistical Services Center of University of Reading and Rockefeller Foundation, who actually are the ones who were able to pay for my trip to UK. And coincidentally, it actually came at the right time and I was able to come here. Yeah. So I'm going to talk to you, rather to share with you guys about the Maseno Math Camp. Maseno Math Camp is a week-long activity, and which we try to, where we introduce students to mathematics that is not just based on calculation. We show them how more about exploration and challenge them to do other exciting things. So I'm here also representing Maseno, where I work, and it's so far, to the best of my knowledge, the only university on the equator. Okay. So the Kenyan curriculum actually depends a lot on calculation, and so the math camp, when the students come, we kind of not use the medias of calculation, but we allow them to be able to use the computers to do a lot of all the calculation, and they are able to explore things by themselves. So we've had so far 2 different math camp sessions. The first one was a little bit smaller. We had a few number of students, and many of them, after the week-long activity, when they were leaving, they gave us positive feedback, and they had one complaint, and that is the time was too short. So the next year, we increased the time, and we had more students who came, and so they still had some good feedback. Apparently, this time around, the feedback was not about the short time, but rather they were saying that the accommodation was the problem. And well, it was a good. I think it was just a nice way of a nice good feedback for us. So, in the math camp, we've had several themes. So this, I think, is a good representation of some of those themes. We've shared with them about research, modeling, programming, stats, geometry, cryptography, and games. So when you come to Kenya and you share with people, parents and teachers alike, about card games, their immediate response is that it's a negative effect, it has a negative influence on children. However, during the math camp, this has been it's been forming a considerable part of our activities there. We use the games, the card games also, to help students to learn how to follow rules, how to strategize, and many other things, and which actually tie in well with some of the activities that we do with them. Since I have a background in statistics, let me also go first to statistics. So I also believe, just like so many presenters who came here, that it's important that students are introduced to data even from an early age. We normally work with teenagers, not even younger kids. And so when they come during our statistical sessions, we introduce them to data. And what we do mostly, it's about exploration and describing of data, and for that we actually use a lot of computers. You've heard of Hans Rosling, you've seen some of the output. So this is, we were comparing the health and the wealth of Kenya and other countries, and particularly with South Korea, the one that is, whose trajectory has been marked with red. And students will easily identify with these nice presentations of data. For instance, in Kenya currently there is a project of which we call Vision 2030, which is to make Kenya, a middle income, or to increase kind of the income of Kenya and also the health to be in the middle of this. So students are able to understand, not just them, but even the staff themselves. However, for the government, they don't use their own data. We've introduced, we had Tinkerpels for this year, and students were able to collect their own data as they were coming in, and also in the middle of the week. And we gave them back the data in soft copy, and they were able to explore it by themselves and ask questions and also answer them. So many of them. Well, other than that, we also have a series of statistics textbooks, which is a computer textbook. And so you had David mention of New Zealand. So New Zealand have gone further and actually adapted a school version for this statistic textbook. And we've had some wonderful feedback even from teachers when the students go with these resources and they say, that book is relevant even in the Kenyan statistics syllabus, which is a small portion of the general high school mathematics in Kenya. Well, here you can see some students and a facilitator there. They were learning to estimate the means and medians of when they're given different data sets. Some were skewed, some were not skewed. And this wonderful resource was able to help them to practice their mental estimations, which I think is also a major component of the computer-based math. So geometry was a session where we allowed them to be creative and also try to stretch them beyond even to their limits. Okay, and we did that by, for instance, last year they were introduced to spherical geometry, which is not something they cover, and this year they're also introduced to projectile geometry. And well, it was an interesting thing then to see them learn them. So for their creativity, one of our goals is just to get them to be able at least to do some animation using some software, particularly GeoGebra. And in this year, we had even a competition for them, and they were trying to design logos for the different houses. And yeah, the one which had the best one, according to some judges, won the competition. So something that also come up today is that when students understand the concept, then if they can write a program to solve a problem, then they actually understand the concept. And we introduce them also to programming. However, unlike in other countries, many of the students, they are new to computers, and we cannot assume that they know how to write a program. So we share with them how you can do programming with the computers. Since we're showing them just how to do it, we actually, instead of using computers, we actually use human robots. And the students were given a set of syntax, and then they were like, the robot was told to pick up an object from point A and go and drop it on point B. And the students would think up a syntax, would write the syntax that will do that. And the path will not be always straightforward. One of the best thing which we felt was coming out of this was that as they did it, actually they were able to reason just how the logic flows even in the computers themselves. We also kind of we introduce modeling to them to be able to tell they can be able to explore natural phenomena. And one particular one was, there are some 3 rules which are used for fish to be able to swim, which is to move in the same direction, be aware only of your neighbor, and maintain a constant distance. And in case a predator comes, you do what? You all flee from the predator. So we gave the students this set of rules, but then they were not doing it in the classroom. We told them to go and practice it, to do it outside in the field. And as you can see, yes, they were able to swim and to do the modeling in a physical way. Other than that, we also do research. So in open mathematical research, sometimes problems can be posed in form of other problems. And we shared with them different ones, and I'll show you one here. We introduced to them a game called 15, where there are 2 people who are competing, and the first one to get to choose the numbers between 1 and 9. The first one who will choose 3 cards and adds to 15 wins. So when they look at it as the game as it's being introduced, they see it's a difficult game. However, they were able to, actually some of them were able to do it by themselves, to notice that if they put it in a square, 3 by 3 square, actually they can solve it. And when they look at it as digits in this 3 by 3 square, they could be able to relate it to noughts and crosses, or tic-tac-toe as other people will know it. And we also did some cryptography with them, and every day they will be given some task, and which will introduce them to how you can how to break codes and how to make them. And towards the end of on the last day, we had this treasure hunt game, and they will write out codes and send to their people from the same house. And even though one of the things was that if you get a code from someone from a different house, then you try to do it to break it. So it was a nice thing, a nice practice for them, and we think they also enjoyed it. Yeah. So as I'm here, I'm not the only one who did all the math camp activities. In fact, it was a team of people, some math teachers from Europe, from some scholars from America, and also some teachers in Kenya. And before I sit, I think I need to acknowledge them, and not just them, but we also used so many different software, and the developers of many of those kind of availed them for free, and we're also able to give them, to go with them home. And some which are commercial, the developers gave us the free licenses for the math camp, and we'd like to appreciate them. Last year, Wolfram also provided us with the nice cards, and we were able to give them, and so that they can go home with them. And this year we also had the U.S. Embassy sponsor so many students as they were coming, and we are grateful for that. As I sit down, let me just share this last slide. And during the course of the week, we had requested them to be writing down their ideas, and at the end, kind of blog, but blog on paper. And then at the end of the day or in the morning, we'll take photographs and upload them online. And these are just some from two of them. Let me just also be cautious and say it's not a representation of all the students. Thank you so much.